Good morning, Year 5. Before we go into today's lesson, I just wanted a quick recap of our learning this week. So on Monday, we were looking at different word classes and all of the different classes that we have, our nouns, verbs, adjectives, our to be verbs, determiners, prepositions, and adverbs. Okay, and on Tuesday, we were looking at using different clauses and revising those. So the subordinate clauses, clues in the name, they always have a subordinating conjunction, and the relative clauses, another clue in the name, they always include a relative pronoun. It's important, the use of commas in both of those sentences. So I hope you got on well with that work. Okay, on to today's learning. So it is Wednesday the 3rd of March and your learning objective is to revise verbs and tenses. So if you are at home and you are using Teams, I suggest that you have the Word document open so that you can do each activity as we go through rather than watching the whole video and then going to do the activities. I would rather today that you watch a bit of the video, pause it when you come up to for example, activity 1, go and do activity 1 and then come back. Okay, so I'm there throughout each stage of the activities rather than watching the whole video and then trying to remember what was the first one, second one, third one. Okay, if you are in school as well, you can do that by just writing the date and learning objective and then writing activity 1 in your books. And Mr. Turnbull can pause it and Mrs. Richardson can pause the video at each point so that you've got time to complete each activity. Hope that makes sense. Let's get started. Okay, just as a little warm-up, we're going to have a verb battle. If you are at home, find someone in your house. If you're at school, partner up with somebody just for 1 minute. Okay, I would like you with the person you're with to have a verb battle. So backwards and forwards, saying a verb, the first person to run out of verbs that they can say that they lose. If you are on your own and people are busy at home and things, that's fine. I just need you to write down as many verbs as you can in 1 minute. Off you go. Okay, if you click on the link, which either will be in the description page on at the bottom of the YouTube page, or if you're in class, you can click on the link there straight from the PowerPoint. The link, the first video is a video about verbs. So watch that video, then come back here and we'll talk about what they are. So a verb is a word used to describe an action, state or occurrence. If we look at this word occurrence here, you can see a word within there before the suffix has been added. So we've got occur, so how often something happens. Okay, verbs can be used to describe an action, doing something, for example like jumping. Verbs can be used to describe a state of being or feeling something, for example the word likes. The monster likes roller coasters. Verbs can also be used to describe an occurrence or something happening, for example the word became. The caterpillar became a butterfly. When writing, make sure every sentence includes a verb. Remember, we need a subject, object, verb in each sentence. If you use the same link underneath in the description and scroll down and watch the second video on that website there, then come back and we'll have a little chat about it. When you are writing verbs, the verbs you use show if the events have already happened, are happening now, or will happen in the future. So it's all about our tenses, when something is happening. The past tense is used for things that have already happened. Past tense verbs often end in ed, but not always. The ones that don't, we call irregular past tense verbs. For example, I walked to the shop. The present tense is used when something is happening now or when something happens regularly. Okay, I walked to the shop. I am walking to the shop. Okay, so the difference between the two examples there, we've got the first one, ed ending, happening in the past. I am, that to be verb that we looked at in word class earlier on this week on Monday. I am walking to the shop. The future tense is used to talk about things that haven't happened yet. For example, I will walk to the shop. And we've looked at these modal verbs already this year as well. Okay, I will walk to the shop. It's a certainty, I'm definitely going there. Okay, like I said at the beginning of this video, you needed to have either the Word document open with today's activities on, or if you were in school, have your books open, ready to begin. So this first activity is just on a piece of paper, okay, or if you're in school on a whiteboard and pen. What I would like you to do is write down each verb from each of the 3 sentences here, just on a piece of paper. So read them and then write the sentences, the verb, just the verb. You don't need to write the whole sentence. Give you a little bit of time to do that. If you've quickly jotted down the verbs from each sentence, see if you can spot any other word classes. Think about what we did on Monday. Can you spot any determiners? Can you spot any nouns, any adjectives, any prepositions? You can see a conjunction there. Okay, so the first sentence, the gorilla monster roared from the roof. Okay, the verb in that sentence is roared, and it's a past tense verb because we can see it ends in ed. The building shook. Shook is the past tense word there. The workers want some peace and quiet. What is the verb in that sentence? The verb is want. Activity 2. So if you're at home on your Word document, you will have this slide on the Word document plus the picture underneath, which I'll show you on the next slide in a minute. And let's go through, see what this activity is. Look at the picture closely, then write 5 sentences in the present tense. So remember, the present tense means that it's happening now, about what children in the picture are doing. Try to make your sentences interesting by adding in some impressive vocabulary such as adjectives and adverbs. Top tip: to use present tense, you should write as if it is happening now. For example, the child is, so that is there is what telling us it's happening now. The verb to be, the child is carefully throwing the ball into the air. So I'd like you to go and try some of those sentences, making sure that you're writing in the present tense. Remember, we need 5. Don't want them to start in different ways. Think of some adjectives, some adverbs you can add in. Make sure that is in the present tense. Okay, just before we go on to activity 3, I just want you to pause the video again and I want you to go back and check those 5 sentences. Have you got starting with a capital letter and the correct punctuation at the end of the sentence? Do you need any commas in there for if you started with an adverbial or with if you've added in a different clause? Look carefully at any spelling as well. I want these sentences to be quality sentences. So go, pause the video and check. Right, activity 3, the past tense. When verbs are written in the past tense, they often end in ed. If the word already ends in an e, then you just need to add ed. For example, free equals freed, agree equals agreed. You don't need to add an extra e, we don't have 3 e's in a row. However, this is not always the rule. Sometimes the word completely changes. For example, run turns to ran so that it's in the past tense. Read the paragraph below and change all the words in bold to the past tense. You can write them out in a list. Top tip: think about how to change the verbs to the past tense. Do you need to add ed or do you need to change the word? Okay, this is the paragraph here, and you can see all of the verbs are written in bold there. So if you're in class, you can write the word wakes and then next to it tell me what it is in the past tense. If you are working from home, you'll notice I've already written out the list of the present tense verbs, so you just need to write next to that what it would be in the past tense. Okay, so I'd like you to pause the video now and go and do that. And I look forward to marking those and looking at those answers when I look at your work uploaded onto Teams, or if you're in class, Mr. Turnbull and Miss Richardson can go through them with you. Activity 4, future tense. Imagine something you are going to do in the future. It could be going to see a friend, going on a bike ride, or going out to play. Write 5 sentences in the future tense about what you will do. For example, I will ride my bike down the hill. So having this modal verb will is really important when you're writing in the future tense. Okay? It's also nice to think at the minute about things that we're going to do in the future when different restrictions are lifted and we can go and see family and friends, things start to open up a bit. What have you really missed? What are you looking forward to doing in the coming months? Okay. Now remember, this is another 5 sentences that we want quality down. So if I'm just looking at this sentence here, I will ride my bike down the hill. I could describe the bike, my 2 nouns, with an adjective, okay? Or you could add in an adverb about how you will ride it, okay? Top tip, if something is in the future, you haven't done it yet, but you will someday. So another 5 sentences about something you want to do in the future.